Welcome into this week's edition of the Co-Lin Coaches Show. It's the first one of the new year. We're going to flip the format around just a little bit this week. Up first, we're going to have our men's basketball segment. And joining me now is our men's head coach, David Sanders. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And, Coach, obviously, we've got to talk about something that we haven't talked about in a while, and that's a loss for the guys. It was a really close one. You dropped 89-87 on the road against Northwest for your conference opener. Your thoughts overall on how the guys played and just the game in general?
I'm trying to be political here, but whatever could go wrong did go wrong. I feel like in that game, starting off with our best defender, C.J. Stevens, being out sick and, some other things going on within the team that were controllable that we didn't really focus in on. And so we got off to a kind of a slow start because of that. And I thought we shot the ball as worst we'd shot it all year. And but we scrapped. Guys really played hard and gave ourselves a chance to win at the end. Tied the game up in overtime, tied it up in regulation. And, just couldn't get a big rebound down the stretch.
Right. And it kind of felt like despite everything that could go wrong, like you just mentioned, guys still gave themselves a chance. First half, you came out really strong. You had a 44-38 lead. I think you look at it. Devin Bates shot 60% from the field in that half. First half was a really great shooting half. And in the second half and overtime, like you mentioned, probably two of your worst. I know second half was about 32%, overtime 21%. And anytime you do that and the team you're facing shoots 55% in both those two moments, it's going to be really hard to win a game. And the fact that you even had a chance at the end, got to be able to feel like you can at least build from that.
Yeah, I think we got to get some more guys playing well. I think Devin Bates and Dakota here, playing way too many minutes right now. Both of them kind of got worn down there. And we just got to get some other guys to step up. I thought Dawson Knox did a good job stepping up and kind of playing some solid minutes. So we got to get more guys stepping up and making plays. It doesn't hurt when you start a point guard, just a no-show. So, he's a freshman, smaller guy. We kind of give him a pass on that, but he's good enough to really carry us because he's been doing it. So we need him to step up and make more plays, and he knows that. We've had that conversation already.
And we look further into the box score again. We talked about it. You were outscored in the second half 40-34, and then outscored in overtime 11-9. That's how you get to that 89-87 loss there. And then you look at the individual line scores. Devin led all scores with 30 points. Devin did what Devin does, leading the conference in points per game at, I think, 25 and had 30. You had two guys. Mentioned one of them, Dakota Hillard and Prince Ojukwu, both with double-doubles. Prince had 14 and 18, led all players in rebounds, I believe, with that 18. And then Dakota had 13 points, 14 rebounds. So did a really good job at crashing the board at times. But again, there at the end, you go back and look at it, they get a rebound late, which leads to that little tip in. And, it's just like, if we just had one more, you would have gone into double overtime, and then who knows what happens. But, it's one of those things when you look at it and you go, man, we just needed one more, despite how well a lot of our guys played. Because even Keyshawn Shields off the bench for you, 10 points. So you got a lot of contributions from guys that you needed to get contributions from.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. We scored 87 points. We probably should have scored 107. A lot of, I think, 30 offensive rebounds. We didn't get enough points off those offensive rebounds. I think that's what the main issue was. I think Prince had 12 by itself. He had 12 offensive rebounds. You should have at least 20 points. So I think we did a terrible job of finishing around the rim. Got a bunch of chip shots. Northwest had 44 points in the paint. Outscored us by almost 10 in the paint. And that's pretty much the game. And 29 threes is way too many. And selling for threes is a sign of a team that's either soft or out of shape. And we should be neither. So, that's one of the things we talked about, turning down some of those threes and going to the basket and attacking, trying to get some more shots at the basket.
Right. I think, when you look at it, people go back and look at the stats. I think the one thing that will kind of glare out is, as you look at it, you took 90 shots in that game, you only made 30 of them. And anytime you're shooting 30% from the field, that makes it that much harder. Even if you're out rebounding the team, even if you're not turning the ball over, sometimes you just got to have some better shots, or just got to be able to find a few more makes than what you're able to find in that one. But you flush this one, you move on. It happened. There's nothing you can do to change it. You look ahead. You've got Southwest coming here this upcoming Thursday for the home conference opener. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. It's always fun when these two teams play each other. It's a rivalry game. You can throw out the records. You can throw everything out the window. But what are you expecting out of the Bears when they come here on Thursday?
Well, of course, always got a very well coached team. We got some guys that are extremely tough, extremely strong. They were able to go over this year and beat Chipotle this year, something we've been dreaming about doing for the last 3 or 4 years. So the great and funny thing about it, we ran into them at a restaurant right after they had played, so we got a chance to talk to them and everything. But really well coached team, a lot of guys we know, a lot of guys we recruited, and vice versa. So it's going to be a dogfight for sure. We got home court. Hopefully that helps us. But it's not going to matter if we're going to miss 60 shots. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So guys know they got to play better. We got to finish around the rim. We got to make free throws and keep our turnovers down. I think we'll have a really good chance to win.
So, and then you look ahead a little bit to the next week. We're off. Our off date just happens to fall on the third date of conference play. Wouldn't play on that Monday anyway, with it being MLK Day. Would have been that Tuesday. But then you look ahead and you'll go on the road and you'll face a team, again, weather permitting, with the forecast looking as it is. This one may be up in the air. But right now it's scheduled that you'll play at East Mississippi next Thursday, a place where I don't know that you've won over at East yet. I know we beat them here last year. That was your first win against them in your time here. But what's it going to take to beat that team, the Lions team, over there, and what are you expecting out of that bunch when you go and face them?
Well, we just haven't really played well on the road this year, so at some point we got to go on the road and put a good game together. We've been playing pretty well at home, but I know East is dealing with some injuries and things like that as well, some sicknesses, and it's kind of going around the league now. But the guys that hit the floor got to play well, and that's simple as that. You're gonna go on the road. You're not gonna get every call. You know what I mean? You're gonna get some situations that that you can't control. But what you can control is doing the things you need to do to win the game. And I think the guys pretty much understand that, and we know in order to win the league, we got to win some road games.
So, Coach, thanks for joining us. We look forward to finishing out the year strong. Hopefully the guys will be able to rebound this upcoming Thursday with that game against Southwest. Again, the Wolves have their 7-game win streak snapped on the road this past Monday with an 89-87 overtime loss against the Rangers in their conference opener. Home conference openers this upcoming Thursday against Southwest. Tip-off set for 7:30 p.m. We'll go ahead and say it'll be about 25 minutes after the girls' game ends. That one will be at 5:30. Stick with us through the break. Join me next will be Dr. Britta Stephens as she talks about how the Lady Wolves have done in their last couple, and we'll preview the upcoming game against the Lady Bears.
At Copiah Lincoln Community College, you'll find a family of instructors and staff who truly care about your success. And not to mention a really fun college experience too. Co-Lin was recently ranked #1 in the state for student success. So whether you need to start or finish your college degree, take classes on one of our 3 campuses or online, Co-Lin is the place to be.
Welcome back in. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. And joining me now is our head women's basketball coach, Dr. Britta Stephens. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And, Coach, obviously before we left the break, we had to talk about something we hadn't talked about, which was a Lady Wolves loss. And unfortunately, the first 2 out of the gate have been losses as well, too. Had a little bit of a struggle, maybe knocking some of the rust off, those kind of things. You're looking forward to rebounding, though. But we'll talk about these first couple. We'll go back to this past Thursday. You played Baton Rouge, a game that kind of got a little thrown off with time because of some weather moving in, those kind of things. So everything was a little off with this one, but you lose it 76-63. Your thoughts overall on this game? And it felt like, you had an opportunity to get back in this one and cut it down late in the game, but they were able to surge ahead and really force some uncharacteristic mistakes late in that game to get that 13-point win.
Yeah, last Thursday was a unique day when you have to start changing games for weather and things like that. It kind of puts you off your spot. I was not very pleased with how well we played, and I knew that we were going to be rusty. That was our first game in 16, 17 days, so you knew you were going to come back rusty. I knew that BRCC, they had already played 2 games since they had come back from the break, so some of their rust was going to be off. So I expected us to be a little sluggish. I didn't think we came out and started that sluggish. I thought the sluggishness came toward the end of the game. Perhaps we got tired. Did not think we did a very good job of guarding at all in that game. I felt like we were just stuck and running in sand, but I didn't feel like we did very good defensively at all. And I thought we played everything we had, and defensively we just couldn't get stops, and down the stretch that ended up being what really hurt us. Their press bothered us late early in the game. Their press did not bother us. Early in the game we handled it well, and then late in the game we did not handle their press very well. They forced some turnovers, and it gave them the advantage.
And you look at the box score in this one, you outscored them 16-15 in the first. They outscored you 22-15 in the second. Come out in the third, you outscore them 23-17. In the fourth quarter, as we've mentioned, that kind of was where the big swing was. Outscored 22-9, and anytime you're held under double digits, anytime you're held to single-digit scoring, it's probably not going to end well for you. But then you look at the line scores, and Cookie Wilkinson did what Cookie Wilkinson does, led all players in both points and rebounds with a double-double, 30 and 12. So a great game out of Cookie. You had 14 from Imani. 8 from Cam, 6 from Amari, 3 from Madison Mitchell, and 2 from Jay Robinson. So up and down, you got contributions from people, but a little lopsided in your contributions. I think you'd like to maybe even out it a little more,
Yes.
have a few more points off the bench, maybe to find a little bit more scoring from some of your starters as well too. But those are things that you could definitely work on going forward.
Yeah, we need Imani Key to be. She had 14 in this game, and that's good production. We need her production to continue to grow, and we need her to be a double-digit scorer. For us to be successful, we need 3 to be in double digits, and Cam was close. She was at 8, but if she has 10 or 12, 14, that helps us. One of the interesting statistics I remember from this game is we gave up 42 points in the paint, and it's very hard to win when you do that. And I felt like all night their points in the paint were wide open. Around that free throw line, sweet spot of the zone area, they were getting a lot of wide open looks. I felt like we missed a lot of short layups. Our shooting percentage was not great in this game. Some of that is to be expected coming back from the break. Colin Bell has been hurt. We're missing our point guard. We had been missing our point guard, and she's just now coming back off of injury. So these losses, that affects it. Her not being there. Madison Mitchell has played great in her absence, but because we've gotten used to that and we've gotten in this rhythm with her, that is an element that you take out, and that's something we're still having to overcome and try to figure out as well.
So then you fast forward to this past Monday, you go on the road for your conference opener, you go all the way up to Northwest, and it's a 7-point loss, 79-72, a game that I believe at one point you got down to a 1-possession game, got down to a 2 or a 3-point deficit there, and they were able to just make a few plays down at the stretch that were ultimately able to give them the win. But your thoughts on this one, and going up to Northwest, it's always hard. It's hard to get on a bus and step off of it and get ready to play, but I think a valiant effort out of the Lady Wolves in that one,
Right.
and again, had a chance to win it.
Yeah, conference play is difficult. Every night, every conference game is going to be difficult. Our conference is tough from top to bottom, and I think this year is a unique year in the fact that a lot of teams in the conference are very even. When I had to pick the preseason poll, I felt like there were 1 or 2 or 3 that are going to be at the top, but everybody else, I looked at it and I went, this is a toss-up. We're all young, we're all new, we're all trying to figure it out, and so I think there's going to be a lot of interesting nights in our league. Going on the road is hard, but this team has been road tested. We went on the road a bunch this fall, and that's why our schedule was built that way. So I wasn't as concerned about going on the road as I probably should have been because we had done it so much. We were fine. We warmed up great. We got there in plenty of time, but we were flat when we came out, and I was disappointed in that. If you looked at the box score from the first quarter, they jumped all over us. And I was really disappointed in the start of the game. I told Coach Ray, by the end of the first quarter, we had tried every defense, we had changed, we had done everything, and they came out really hot. Shots started not to fall for them, and we started to be able to make some plays. And in the second quarter, we made a good run. At halftime, it was a 6-point game. So it felt like, early in the game, it felt like it was this huge 20-point game, and it wasn't. It was a 6-point game. At several different points in the third and fourth quarter, we cut it to 1. I was disappointed in the fact that we cut it to 1, and then we took a bad shot. We would cut it to 1, and we would come back down, and we would have a really bad offensive possession. We would have a bad offensive possession, and then we would give them a really easy offensive possession where they would score, and that really hurt us. And that's a maturity thing. That's a young team not knowing, hey, there's 3 minutes left in the game. We're down 1 or we're down 3. Let's run our offense and get a really good shot instead of running in there and having a somewhat open shot. And that's what I told him in film the next day. The shots that you didn't take weren't awful, but they weren't the shots we wanted at that point in the game. So I think for us in this game, that was a big teaching point, is time and score and knowing when we need to run things and when we need to go. Kind of when we need to when we need to come back and run something, and when we need to go, because late in the game we took some shots that we were not comfortable taking.
Right. And you look at the box score, you mentioned it, you hinted at it. The first quarter is really what made all the difference. You get outscored 24-11, and anytime you've got to try to overcome a double-digit deficit after the first quarter, it's gonna be a rough game. 22-15, you outscore them in the second quarter. You match scoring output, 16 points apiece in the third. third, and then they outscored you by 1 point in the fourth, 24-23. So again, you can see in that second half just a very tightly contested game. That was probably what you would have expected had both teams been more equal in that first quarter. But you look at the line scores. You had 3 players in double digits, led by Cookie Wilkinson. She tied for the game high with 22. Flirted with a triple double, had 8 steals, 6 rebounds in this one. So just goes to show you, Cookie finds ways to affect the game with scoring, but with also how she plays on both sides of the ball. Cam Pruitt, 16.7 rebounds. Jay Robinson, 15 points, 8 rebounds. So the 3 kind of stars that you've kind of relied on here lately really did what you needed them to do. 6 points from Kaylee Johnson. I saw her the day after the game, and I told her, I said, hey, you took some really good shots. I'm hoping we see a lot more of that. I thought all 4 3-pointers she shot, all of them were really good looks. So that feels encouraging. Maybe freshmen finally starting to turn that corner. 4 points each from Tyra Johnson, Maddie Mitchell, 2 points each from Amari Barnes, Kylan Bell, and 1 point from Imani Key. A little bit of an oddity from Imani, and she's been playing really well for you lately, and to see her just have 1 point, it's a little bit of a head scratcher on this one.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to, injuries and sickness. I had been sick. We had some kids that had been sick. That's part of basketball, and that's part of life. It happens. Kylan Bell played in this game, but it was her first game back from a knee injury, so she's still trying to get her feet under. Imani Key played and got hurt midway through the game, which is why you only see her score 1 point. And she went back in after she got hurt, but she wasn't real good, and we just made a decision that maybe somebody else was healthier and better. She didn't have a great night. That's basketball. That's how it goes. But had those 2 been healthy, had Kylan had her legs under, had Imani been healthy, had she been able to score, it's a little different game, I think. I told him after the game, I said, I cannot fault your effort. In the third and fourth quarter, your effort in this game was unbelievable. But what if we had come out in that first quarter with the same sense of urgency and the same sense of effort that we had in the third and fourth quarter? It wouldn't have been a game. We would have been up 10 or 12 at the end of the game. I was really proud at the very end of the game with our execution. I called timeout to advance the ball a couple times, and we executed plays perfectly. I was really proud of that with a young team who has not been in that situation. I was really proud late in the game. We were down, and I asked them to turnover press, which is not something we do day in and day out, and they jumped in, and man, they did a great job. Imani Key, Cookie Wilkinson, even Kaylee Johnson, who is not a defensive superstar, she was able to really get up and help us. I thought, going back to the Baton Rouge game, Amari Barnes is a kid who's been playing well, but that was a game where she really shined. She made some shots, and I was proud of her effort in that game. And you talked about Kaylee in this game. So those 2 both had better games. If they can continue to grow and get production, that's going to really help us down the road.
Anytime you start seeing 2 freshmen who, you don't want to say struggled early on, but now it really feels like the game's maybe slowing down a little bit. They're starting to get a little more comfortable. That's going to make you feel better going forward. And we look at going forward. Your next one is coming up this Thursday. You're going to host a team that you're real familiar with, and your old team at Southwest. What do we know about the Lady Bears coming into this one? I know they kind of got off to a little bit of a hot start. I know they lost their first one coming out of the break as well, too. But what do you know about that bunch, and what are we looking forward to in that one?
Yeah, well, Southwest Co-Lin, it's a rivalry game. Everybody's looking forward to it. I went recruiting on Tuesday night, and I went to a very local school, and I told Rachel when I got back, I said, well, that was a mistake, because all everybody wanted to talk about was Southwest Co-Lin, and I appreciate that. That means people are excited about basketball, and that's a good thing. Obviously, I'm super familiar with Southwest. I worked for Brent for 10 years, very mature group. He's got 8 sophomores, so they are a very, very mature group. They are going to make mature decisions. They're going to run their stuff. They're going to work very hard. Carabeth Addison, a West Lincoln kid, is their leading scorer right now. Bethany Graves from Pascagoula is their other leading scorer. They have a lot of bigs. They play really well inside. Our goal is to not let them get comfortable. We're going to press them, and we're going to change, and we're going to do a lot of different stuff. We want the pace of the game to be fast. They don't like to play fast. They like to run their little sets, and that's Brent's thing. And so we don't want to let them do that to us. And we're going to try to keep that pace at our pace. The best thing about it is they got to come into Mullen, and we've been really good in Mullen. Minus the loss to Baton Rouge, we have not lost in Mullen, and we have shot it extremely well. So I'm excited about that. This one is important, and I told them yesterday, because our kids don't really – some of our kids don't even know that Southwest is 30 minutes from here, and this is a rivalry game. We have kids from all over the state of Mississippi and Louisiana, and so we tried to explain that to them and let them know this one's got a little extra nasty on it. We want this one just a little bit more. Yeah, we want this one, but we want all of them. We need all the conference wins we can get so that we can finish in a position to host a region tournament game. And so this is just the next one on the schedule. This is the next one to get excited about. Excuse me.
And you don't want to look too far ahead, but we are going to look at the one that you've got scheduled for next week. We say scheduled because, again, we don't know what the weather's going to looking like right now. We may not be here next week. We may not get this one in, but you do go on the road next Thursday after being off on the third playing day. That just happens to be our off time. You play East Miss over in Scuba. What do you know about the Lady Lions in that one, and what's it going to take to get a win on the road against them?
I know not one thing about East Mississippi and the Lady Lions at Scuba. I don't. And you and I talk about this all the time. I don't usually look ahead. I'm not real fired up about our bye being the third week of the season. That's just how the cookie crumbles. It's how it rolls. However, the positive of that is, in the week with the holiday, with the Martin Luther King holiday, we usually play Tuesday, Thursday. Well, this week, since we don't have to play on Tuesday, that is a good thing for us because we get prep time. That Tuesday, Thursday short prep, I'm a big prep person. I watch a ton of film and things like that. So that Tuesday, Thursday short prep does not settle well with me. So I'm kind of excited about this bye because we do get more time to prep. And that's why I haven't been going, we've got to look ahead to East Mississippi. We've got to look ahead. Let's put all our focus right now on beating Southwest first. And then once we beat Southwest, then we'll go to East Mississippi. Know very little. I know it's another long road trip. I know Scuba, there's not a lot there. Our kids are not going to be familiar with their kids because many of their players are from the northern part of the state. I haven't done a lot. I know he does a good job with them. I know they beat Northwest. Prior to us playing Northwest, it was a very tight game. In fact, I think it may have even gone into overtime because I did watch that game in preparation for Northwest. So I've got film. After we beat Southwest, I'll turn the page and start trying to get ready. Our kids are like you, Kevin. They're like, Coach, what about next week? And I'm like, what about next week, y'all? It's going to be cold. We play an indoor sport. Unless the roads are icy, we're going to play. And that's what I go with, that mentality. And Coach Sanders and I have talked about that. We're going with the mentality that we're going to play. We're going to give our kids their regular day off. We're coming back and we're going to start practicing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday like we're going to play Thursday. That's all we can do. If the game gets canceled, then we've practiced and we're prepared and we'll be ready for it whenever they reschedule it.
So hopefully you get that one in. But again, attention all on the Lady Bears as they come in. Tip off on that one, 5:30 on Thursday in Mullen Gym. We look forward to seeing everybody there. Believe we're going to ask everybody to wear blue for that one as well too. So still lots of exciting things and good things happening for the Lady Wolves, despite dropping a couple here coming outside of the break, dropping their first one back 76-63 against Baton Rouge. Going on the road this past Monday, dropping the conference opener 79-72 against the Lady Rangers. Again, both teams, Wolves and Lady Wolves, at home against Southwest this Thursday. Come on out, come support the teams. You can't make it, we'll have it on stream for you as well too. 5:30 tip-off for the girls, 7:30 tip-off for the fellas. After that, we'll have a little bit of a break, and then we'll focus on the East Miss games and finish out conference play as well, too. Thanks for joining me this week, Coach. Hopefully, we'll see you next week. If not, we'll pick it up whenever we can. And, again, hopefully we'll get that game in on Thursday. If not, again, pay attention to all of our social media channels. We'll let you know if that game gets changed. Thanks for tuning in this week. I'm Kevin Kyzar, Sports Information Coordinator here at Co-Lin. We'll talk to you next week.